Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, today we are going to be reviewing the two big matches which took place over the weekend. Aston Villa versus Newcastle, and of course, West Ham against Arsenal. Now, joining me to review these two matches, we have returning to the platform, the smiling sniper.
Well, I respect viewers and subscribers.
We also have Leon.
Welcome, viewers and subscribers.
Yes, gents, welcome again, and let's jump straight into it. Big results over the weekend for Aston Villa. Sniper, talk to us about that one. Aston Villa running away winners over Newcastle.
Well, make we say it correctly. Aston Villa dominate Newcastle completely.
Yes, definitely. It wasn't a win by fluke, as you mentioned, it was a dominant performance,
Yeah, very, very dominant performance that I've not seen in a while. In fact, I think critique says the best game he's watched since being an Aston Villa fan since 1960 something.
That's a long time there,
That's a long time.
Way back when.
Yeah. So, when a critique got that far, say it's a really good performance. It's an entire team performance.
Definitely, from start to finish, Aston Villa was the one who was taking the initiative and taking the fight to Newcastle, and the result is there for us to see, definitely.
Absolutely.
But in terms of a tactical approach, what is it that Aston Villa did well, which basically led to this victory?
So we spoke about the last time we spoke about how much different variations of styles of play that Unai Emery has. And this one became kind of took me off guard because he played a 4-2-2-2, which is very unique. He had Martinez running, not Emilia, Buendia roaming in a very awkward position. And he had four strikers pretty much.
Yes, it was definitely a formation which we haven't seen before, and to me, it caught the Newcastle team off guard. I don't think they were prepared to deal with the sort of movement and positioning of the players.
Yeah, so with that formation, you saw a lot of ball movement from Aston Villa, which we haven't seen in a while. Quick ball movement at that, because there was so much support anywhere you needed it. So Buendia was everywhere.
But Leon, I'll bring you in at this point. What was your take on that game and the performance by this informed Aston Villa team that's now 5 wins on the bounce?
It's no surprise. I think with Aston Villa's quality, any team that's around that quality, the manager in place really takes charge, and you can see from the match who is the most dominant manager. And you guys probably haven't seen the 4-2-2, but I've seen it last season with Ragnick from Man United. Wasn't that
Ragnick? Yes.
Yeah, wasn't that good, but it worked Aston Villa last match. And what you can see from the lineup is that all their attacking players except Watkins, I think, was midfield. So the 4-2-2, they were all midfielders. So it's gonna be hard for a Newcastle midfield to really trap those runners, because they were interchangeable. Sometimes you see Magin out at the wing, sometimes you'd be in D-mid, Ramsey, Buendia, so it was just a fluid system, and I think the Newcastle midfield couldn't live up to it, and they spent most of their time defending, and still with all that amount of creative players in those advanced positions, it was just about time, and Watkins was he's on form and was having the game of his life. The defenders couldn't really manage him.
Yes, in that opening 20 minutes, Aston Villa could have easily been 3 up. They hit the crossbar and the upright in that period?
Yeah.
It's shocking to see that, such a dominant performance over the meanest defense in the league. Earlier we were talking about rallying for 5th, but with such form, 4th is not out of the question, Sniper.
So according to our manager, we can now add that step into the play. So it is definitely within sight, if we keep up the same performance. I mean, we see really, like I said, that entire team performance where we had even Ashley Young taking, what's his name, George?
Anthony
That,
Gordon.
yeah, Gordon,
Gordon, yes.
yeah, took him out of the game completely. A
Yeah,
third,
definitely.
he had no play. He had no play whatsoever. And we see where they brought on their star Wilson, and Magin took him out of the game completely.
Nullified.
And it was just a clear win. Aston Villa was having a very great game. Um, a lot of ball movements, a lot of composure, a lot of possession, a lot of confidence within the team, and it played out in the results. And really have to give Mings, and I said it before, Mings need some highlight.
We give him back the captain's armband or what?
Yeah, man, he needs that. He needs the captain's armband at this point. When a man can lay down in front of a goal to stop the ball from rolling on the floor as a defender, quick
Yeah.
thinking. And Alex Marino, very good signing. Under the radar signing, but very good signing. You can see where he's a winger, and when needed, he creates the plays. Him have the speed, him have the strength for move around a defense quick and fast, and he always has a nice pass into the 18. So
But his fullbacks always is very good technically, and you can see it
yeah,
from him. Very good technically.
very good. But
Yeah, that left side seemed to have two good fullbacks competing for a starting place there with Dine, the French international as well. I mean,
look at Dean.
Mourinho seemed to have placed him on the bench.
I mean, with Lucadine, you see where he's a little bit flustered, where him come under pressure, he loses that composure.
Composure.
He's a good winger, but Alex has actually came in and just took his spot.
Yes, but what of the Newcastle team though, Leon? What it is that you saw that was so different from previous game? How did Aston Villa manage to pretty much dominate this game completely?
I think with Newcastle, no, Newcastle, I think most of their dangers comes from down there wing play with their wing back Trippier always assisting. I think with Gordon, as Sniper said, Ashley Young had him in his back pocket, so there was no that that side was basically non-existent. And with Aston Villa packing the midfield, you didn't see Bruno in the match. Mostly, he was like I think he was the only Newcastle midfield I really saw in the match. So you can see, based from it, it was like they weren't really getting on the ball much. And even though they had a couple shots here and there, I think the XG was, I think it was 1.3 something for Aston Villa and 0.86 to Newcastle. So that meaning their chances that they created wasn't really a high XG,
Percentage
high
chance.
percentage chance.
It
So
was very
I just think Aston Villa in form at home. I think the change in formation just probably caught them off guard. And Aston Villa looked like they had a lot of energy in this one, and Newcastle just couldn't find a response.
Yeah, Emery seemed to have outcoached Eddie Howe in this game. He sprung a new formation, and it seemed as if Newcastle could not recover. It took very long for them to make any sort of adjustment. And by that time, pretty much the game was done and dusted. What say you
absolutely.
from a tactical point of view, Sniper? Was Eddie Howe outcoached, or was it just down to the players?
No, I would definitely say he was outcoached or probably outsmart
Mm.
by Unai Emery. That last minute formation, that's something that he pulled out of his back pocket. We've never seen it in a like we said, it's something that happened a while back. So for that to come up now in this
Mm.
this point of the game, it kind of threw him like a monkey wrench in his game plan. And the team, what I realized with Newcastle, and even after the game, I realized that they made a few comments before, some of the players,
Mm.
where when asked about Aston Villa, they were saying something along the lines of, "Oh, when interviewers will say Aston Villa is on fire, what do you guys think of the upcoming game?" They will say, "Well, the fire brigade is in town." So they came with a confident, you know, but
Uh,
you and I just throw a monkey wrench in the plan.
even
Yes,
with New
And
yes.
under Anthony Gordon, I think it was his first game back from like a suspension. I think they took him off the field probably a couple games ago,
Right,
and
right.
he had an attitude problem, and they had to take him from the first
Team.
team. So I think the main reason why he was even starting for that match was because Saint Maximin was injured, it seems,
Injured.
and
Yeah.
so and he didn't really do much in the match either. Probably still getting used to Newcastle style of play. So it's
Yes, yeah. Well, for me, I wasn't really surprised, to be honest. You know,
Well, you call it. You call it. You call
yeah,
it.
I anticipated such a result. As I said, just watching Newcastle, I have seen where there have been some lapses. I don't know if it's a case of complacency or teams figuring them out, so to speak. But I saw chinks in the armor, and I just figured with Aston Villa being at home in front of their home crowd, Ollie Watkins on form, the general team play. I just saw where Newcastle was ripe for the picking, and so said, so done. It's interesting to see how both teams progress from here as the season pretty much gets into that last push. And
And I think another thing that caught them off guard was the pace of the game. Aston Villa played a very fast-paced game,
mm,
which is something that they're probably not used to from Aston Villa as well. So the ball moving a lot, you can see where they were a bit confused. They didn't know where or who to go towards within the game. So it's a lot of confusion within their midfield. And by the time they figure it out, it was already too late.
but who was your key performer for that game?
For Aston Villa,
Yes.
to be honest with you, I have to give it to the entire team because I don't think anybody dropped the ball. I think everybody understood what the role was, and
Mm,
they went out and executed the game. Um, I can easily say Tyrone Mings. I can easily say Kanza. I can
right, right.
easily say Ashley Young at 38. Put a man
Mm,
in back pocket and win a scene for the whole game.
right, right.
You get what I mean? I say we can see where Watkins was up there creating all these chances. He had the assist and 2 goals.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, you see where John McGinn had so much movement, he was unmarkable.
Mm,
So
yeah,
I have to give it to the entire team. The entire team was on form. And they
team
did they
performance.
understood team performance,
Team
full team
performance.
performance.
What say you, Dolian?
for
Any
me,
key standout players for you?
think two, Magin and Watkins. I think Magin had 2 assists. I think his delivery was excellent from the right wing. I thought he caused them a lot of problems, just as Watkins. I just those two jumped out from the match to me.
Yes, well, that was the Aston Villa game. Again, Aston Villa running away winners and pushing, I would say, for that top four. To me, they're a sleeper team, and if any team in and around that fourth, fifth, sixth position really slips up, then they can easily slide in. They're not getting a lot of attention, but the points are on the board, and the points are constantly building. And I believe they have their next game against Brentford. And that's pretty much a winnable game at this stage of the competition. So
I believe we haven't lost to Brentford either in a couple of games.
yeah, I'm
So
definitely looking forward to see how both teams progress. And of course, Newcastle, they definitely have Arsenal coming up in another game
mm.
or two as well. And the media is writing home about that game, about that being a potential obstacle for the Arsenal team. So it will be interesting to see how Newcastle also progress. They've been in the top four for the majority of the season. So
Hmm.
it will be interesting to see if they can actually hold on to that fourth position, with Aston Villa pressing Spurs in and around, and somewhat of a resurgent Liverpool. You can never count Liverpool out. They're obviously going to need help from other teams, but with a performance such as the one they gave today, you can never rule them out. But
I
on
mean,
Sunday, we had another game. We had another game. We had the big one, so to speak, West Ham versus Arsenal, and that one ending in a draw and really blowing the title race wide open. Sniper, talk to us about that game.
Arsenal, I believe, on Sunday proved to me that they're still Arsenal. They get very comfortable when they think that they have it in their pocket. And they scored their 2 first goals, and then they started to cruise the game at about 20 minutes into the game. And West Ham saw the opportunity. And West Ham put on the pressure, and it caused them problem. And that's exactly what happened, if you ask me.
Mm. Well, this is now what? The second game running that they have been leading 2-0 and end up in a draw. Is this
Yeah,
now becoming habitual, or is it just mental pressure
it's
or mental lapses?
maybe it's Arsenal just being Arsenal again.
But Leon, what say you? I mean, what's your take on this result? 2-2, at West Ham.
I mean, for the Liverpool match, when Liverpool came back against Arsenal, I wouldn't even blame Arsenal for that one because Liverpool is a quality team, but unlike West Ham, where as Sniper said, they scored the first two goals and just hit cruise control. And I remember I said specifically in the predictions that if Arsenal let this come down to a physical battle, they will lose. And
They're gonna lose.
in the first 10 minutes, you saw West Ham nowhere near the ball, and Arsenal let them in, and they they just capitulated. And I think what is happening to Arsenal is the pressure of the title race, because if this was like game week 16 or 15 when Arsenal was two up in the first 10 minutes, this match is finishing 4-0. They wouldn't take they weren't taking their foot off the match, but I think they're looking too far ahead instead of taking a game by game approach and just, I guess, conserving energy for the other fixtures. But
That's
Yes,
concern.
it wasn't a surprising scoreline for me because I pretty much called it, I saw it coming, and what can I say? Even though you predicted it, it still come as a shock when you see the nature of how the game played out. Sometimes it's not even the scoreline, but it's just
That's how the game play.
how the game played. I mean, 2-0 up, you're expecting this to be a easy walk in the park. Technically, you just pretty much finish off the team. That killer instinct should have just kicked in, which it should have, but we saw where Saka missed that PK. That would have put the game out of sight, in my opinion. And then
That was a shocker for me.
right, and minutes later, down the other end, West Ham scored. So to
Yeah.
me, that was the key moment in the game, that penalty miss by Saka. And we can never, players miss penalties all the time, but oftentimes it's under pressure
That miss was a
that
breeze. Like
that it counts, And we saw where again, big moment, big opportunity, hopefully not looking back. Arsenal see this as the moment their season turned.
even with Saka, the way Saka takes the penalty, normally Saka would wait a little to see which direction the keeper is moving, and he's normally place the ball on the ground. So high and wide is really uncharacteristically of Saka, and it's just the pressure.
The pressure of the title race, indeed, the pressure of the title race. But tactically, did we see anything different from Arsenal, in comparison to their previous games, or was it the same Arsenal of old, but that mental pressure came into play?
I want to say that the mental pressure kicked in for them when they realized that West Ham wasn't gonna give in so easily. Because I see where every Arsenal player, most Arsenal players started to become physical.
Okay.
Everybody. So they again, once again, just like the Liverpool game, West Ham got another in their mental skin, and just took the advantage.
Yes, but Leon, we saw is as if once West Ham got that goal, is as if they kicked into another gear. Was that solely down to West Ham, or did we see some element of fatigue creeping into the Arsenal 11 as well?
Fatigue. I think Arsenal is out of every competition. I think even West Ham, I think they play Genk in the Conference League
Right.
midweek. So I think fatigue would be more of a question to West Ham than Arsenal.
Mm.
I think tactically Arsenal was more of what the same. The only change was there was the left back situation. I think Tierney played instead of Shevchenko.
Zinchenko.
So I think
Yeah,
there was less control what our Zivchenko normally gives to the Arsenal. But I think it was negligible. It didn't really play as we saw how Arsenal played in the first 10 minutes. And just even the first goal that Arsenal conceded was Partey trying to flick the ball in over, I think, Declan Rice's head
Yeah.
right near his box. I don't
Yes,
that
yes,
that
definitely.
that only spells complacency because
Yeah, and then
normally,
Gabriel dived in with an unnecessary tackle going to
Tackle.
ground as
Yeah.
well.
yeah, I think
That was totally unnecessary.
he was trying to pull up, but any attacker sees that is is falling, is going for that
Definitely.
penalty.
Yeah,
So
man.
it's
Quick
just
dive.
it's just complacency, and then the mental pressure is there with City kicking up a storm. Alan is kicking up a storm over there. So it's just the mental pressure, and as even in recent history, when it comes on to the crunching end of the season, Arsenal normally bottled it because even last year, I think
Mm.
they were shooing for the top four race, and they just got themselves out of it in the last
Mhm.
minute. So I think they have a history of not turning up when they normally should, and the substitution of taking Gabriel Jesus and Party off when you need a goal is just baffling.
Yes, it was a curious substitution because to me, Saka was the one who was having a poor game. I would never have taken off Martinelli. Martinelli was creating some element of problems for the West Ham defense, but it was Saka who made way. I mean, it was Saka who stayed on the field, and Martinelli and Jesus made way, bringing on Trossard and a few other subs to try and change the game. But to no avail, it seems, at that late stage. Pretty much it seemed as if Arteta threw everything on the kitchen sink at West Ham, but could not find a way through.
I think Martinelli actually stayed on. I think it was Jesus, and I think Jesus came off for Trossard, and I think even sub Tierney for Vieira at
Yeah.
one point. So normal, I didn't think they had and put Xhaka in the left back. I just think normally when you see a coach normally do that, I think it's you rarely find they get results from it because there's no structure in place anymore to keep a constant pressure. So
Right,
normally
right.
a more, I guess, experienced coach would keep
That
the same
structure.
shape
Yeah, yeah.
but
Keep at
different
it.
per
Sticking to principle and just being patient, so to speak.
Arsenal, and the coach is relatively young, so
Yeah,
it's
a
a
bit of
learning
impatience
experience.
might have crept in, and moving away from the general principle. Chances are those set of players have never been on the field together before.
Yeah.
And we saw Arteta basically searching for answers, pretty much trying everything, but nothing worked. But Sniper, in terms of the title race, how do you see that panning out now with this result of Arsenal drawing? And of course, we saw Man City pretty much walk in the park over Leicester.
Man City for the win.
Man City for the win, plain and simple. You see
Plain
no
and
other
simple.
way.
No, no, not for me. Man City for the win.
Leon, what says you? How do you
I
see
mean,
the
I,
title race going forward with this set of results this past weekend?
I mean, I always thought Man City would get it, but I thought Arsenal showed enough. But I guess they say the title race normally starts in April, and since April, Arsenal hasn't been turning up. And the difference between Man City and Arsenal right now, Man City has been in many title races over the years, and I would say up against a better team in that Liverpool team of past than Arsenal. So I don't think this Arsenal team is really shaking City. I think once City is under the pressure, I don't think they ever lose in this. So I don't see
Mhm.
Arsenal going to the Etihad and getting a result, to be
Mm.
honest. And I just think City have done it before. Most of their team that went through the title races is still there. You still have De Bruyne, you still have Gundogan, Silva, and some of them weren't performing in the early part of the season, but they're catching form at the right time. So it's all up for Man City right now and downhill for Arsenal. So I just see probably Man City will take it again this year.
Mm. Well, Sniper, what's your final word for the weekend?
Well, I it's a weekend of shocking results again. That's all I'm gonna say.
We
Shocking
move then.
results. Shocking results again for this weekend.
We move. Leon, final word.
It was a great weekend, wonderful weekend. Arsenal slipping up, Newcastle slipping up, Spurs slipping up, and Man United with a nice, easy 2-0
Walk
win.
in the park.
We see Anthony getting on the score sheet and getting an assist also. And I think he'll come good next season because of his mentality. I think he believes he should be at Man United, and I think that's going to be key for him for next season.
Well, there you have it, viewers and subscribers. Another weekend of football action is behind us, and another fascinating weekend coming up again. Just like to thank you again for tuning in with us. Please continue to share, like, and subscribe. I'd just like to extend my thanks to Snypa and Leon for passing through and, of course, sharing their profound views and opinions. Well, viewers, until next time, this is Rafa signing off.